All right, welcome. Today, we're putting on our detective hats. We're going to go on a little data investigation, diving deep into the world of cryptocurrency prices to find out what's really going on. Are there real connections, or is it all just noise? Let's find out. So, our whole investigation really kicks off with this one simple question. Do crypto prices actually move together? I mean, you've probably thought this yourself. You look at a chart and it kind of seems like when one goes up, they all go up. But, as any good detective will tell you, first impressions can be very misleading.
Okay, before we get our hands dirty, let's make sure we're all on the same page with our number one tool for this case, correlation. Just think of it as a score. It tells us how much two things move in a pattern together. It's the key to cracking this whole thing wide open.
Now, every good detective story has a villain, right? In our story, the villain isn't a person. It's something way, way sneakier. The fake pattern. This is that misleading clue that looks so real, but is just there to send us down the completely wrong path.
And this villain, it has a name. It's called spurious correlation. It's a fancy term for when two things look like they're perfectly connected, but in reality, it's just pure random coincidence. It's a statistical illusion, and it's a trap that's super easy to fall into.
And this is the absolute classic example. Ice cream sales go up in the summer. Shark attacks also go up in the summer. So they're correlated. But does eating ice cream make you more likely to get attacked by a shark? No, of course not. There's a hidden suspect, right? The summer heat. It makes more people buy ice cream and makes more people go swimming. We have to watch out for these hidden factors in our crypto data. The number one rookie mistake any data detective can make is just jumping in and analyzing the raw evidence without prepping it first. Financial data, especially stuff that happens over time like this, is just full of junk, trends, and noise that can create these fake patterns that look real.
So, for instance, check this out. This is a classic false lead. On the left, you've got the raw price data, and you can see that general upward trend. So our first thought was, hey, let's just subtract a straight line to get rid of that trend. But look at the result on the right. It's a total mess. It's not a clean signal at all. It's still all over the place. That's a dead end. It tells us that a simple approach just is not going to work here.
So if the easy way fails, how do we find the real clues? Well, this is where the real detective work finally begins. To get to the truth, you have to prepare your evidence, and you have to do it right. So our first real attempt at cleaning this up was to look at the daily dollar change. How many dollars did the price go up or down? But you can see the problem immediately. That giant blue line, that's Bitcoin. Its price swings are so huge, it just completely flattens everything else. We can't compare anything when one suspect is shouting so loud you can't hear anyone else in the room. But then we have our breakthrough moment. Instead of looking at dollars, we look at the daily percentage change, and voila! This levels the playing field completely. A 5% jump for Bitcoin is now the same as a 5% jump for a much smaller coin. We're finally comparing apples to apples. And now we can start to see what's actually going on. So here's our game plan laid out, nice and simple. First, we grab the closing prices. We make sure we're looking at the same time period for all of them, 350 days. Then, the crucial step, we transform those raw prices into daily percentage changes. And finally, we run one last critical test to make sure our data is actually stable enough to analyze. See, just prepping the data isn't quite enough. Think about it. A detective can't just walk into a courtroom with a piece of evidence. They have to prove it's reliable, that it hasn't been tampered with. That's exactly what this step is. We're proving our data is trustworthy. The term for this is making sure our data is stationary. It sounds kind of technical, but all it means is that the data's basic personality, its average, its volatility, isn't changing over time. It's like making sure your ruler isn't stretching or shrinking while you're trying to measure something. You need that consistency for a fair analysis. So, how do we prove it? We don't just eyeball it. We use a powerful statistical tool with a pretty wild name. The Augmented Dickey-Fuller Test. Yeah, I know. Just think of it as our official lie detector test for the data. It tells us, for sure, if our evidence is stable. And here are the results from the lie detector. The only number you really need to look at is in that p-value column. The simple version is you want that number to be as close to 0 as possible.
And look at these. They are all effectively zero. What does that mean? It means every single one of our cryptocurrencies passed the test with flying colors. Our evidence is solid.
All right, this is it. This is the moment we've been building up to. The data is prepped, the evidence is clean, it's been verified. It is time to uncover the truth.
What we're about to look at is called a correlation matrix. It's really just a visual map, a relationship chart that's going to show us exactly how strongly each crypto's daily moves are related to every other one.
And here it is. This is our map of the crypto world's relationships. Now, that bright yellow diagonal line, just ignore that. That's just each currency being perfectly correlated with itself. Duh. We're interested in all the other squares. And the key is simple. The brighter and more yellow a square is, the stronger the connection. The darker the purple, the weaker it is. So you can just glance at where, say, Bitcoin and Ethereum cross paths and instantly see their relationship.
So what does our map tell us? Well, first, all that prep work paid off. We've avoided those fake, spurious correlations. Second, just look at all that dark purple. That tells us that most of these cryptos have really weak relationships with each other. We do see a few bright spots, like between Monero and Dash, but here's the biggest clue of all. Not a single relationship on this entire map is stronger than 0.5. That's a moderate correlation at best.
Let me just zero in on that. This single strongest link we found in our entire investigation was between Monero and Dash, clocking in at 0.474. That's it. That's the top. It's a real connection, but it's still just a moderate one. This pretty much debunks that whole myth that all the crypto prices are just moving together in perfect lockstep. So in the end, our investigation showed that the obvious pattern we started with was mostly just a mirage. It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? How many other obvious patterns that we see in the world around us are just statistical ghosts, just waiting for a data detective to come along and look a little bit closer?